Good morning, students. So, as you all know, our college will not open so earlier due to lockdown and due to corona. So, for your safety and for all our safety, we are going to start our college from online method. So, here is the next chapter, which is kinetic theory of gases and radiations, which will be having 4 to 5 parts for theory lecture, and will be having numerical parts in another 2 or 3 lectures. So let's move towards our first part of kinetic theory of gases and radiation. So let's move towards our next slide. So as we have already learned some concepts related to kinetic theory of gases and even radiation, so we are going to recall some points so that you will come to know what we are going to learn in 12th standard. We are going to study many of the things in detail this year that we have studied in 11th in very short period. All right. So let's see what we have already learned. So first is, what are the different states of matter that we have already seen? Which are they? Solid, liquid, and gas. And even in mechanical properties of fluid, we have seen one another state of matter, which is plasma state. Yes. So these are the different kinds of different states of matter. Then we have already seen how to distinguish between solid, liquid, and gaseous state. How to distinguish? The basic difference between three of them is arrangement of molecules which are there inside them. That means when molecules are very closely bound to each other, then that must be called as solid. When they are loosely bound to each other, they are called as liquid. And when they are randomly moving and intermolecular forces are very less, then we are called it as gaseous state. Right. So this is the basic difference between three of them. Then third point is, what are gas laws? What are gas laws? We have already seen in physics as well as in chemistry. Which are they? Boyle's law, Charles' law, and Gay-Lussac's law. These all laws we have already seen. We are going to deal with them again in this part. So we'll move toward to see what are the gas law. Before moving towards, let's see the last point which we are going to recall, which is, how do you get ideal gas equation from the gas law? What is ideal gas equation? PV is equal to nRT, where P is pressure, V is volume, and N is number of moles, R is gas constant, and T is temperature. So considering all the terms P, V, N, R, T, we are getting a single equation which is called as ideal gas equation. The gas is said to be ideal if it obeys this equation. So this is nothing but ideal gas equation, and this equation is consider and get by all the equations. That means by using Boyle's law, by using Charles' law, and by using Gay-Lussac's law, we are getting the final equation as ideal gas equation. So let's move towards what point we are going to study in this part. So this is all about our recall. So let's move towards the next part. So these are the points which we are going to learn in this part. There are only 4 points which we are going to learn, as it is very first part of kinetic theory of gases. So we are going to see the introduction of gas laws, which you have already have seen in physics as well as in chemistry. Then behavior of gas, how they behave, that we are going to see. And the third point is ideal gas and real gas. What is the main difference between ideal gas and real gas, that we are going to see in this part? And what is the main difference between them and how they behave, that also we are going to see. And the fourth point is mean free path. As we have seen how the motion of particles are there inside any gas molecule or any gas, so they must follow some path. they must have some rules to follow. So in that case, we are going to see mean free path. The path which is followed by the molecule, it is obviously free because it is moving here and there and roaming inside it. It is random. So it is mean free path. Okay, so let's move towards the first point. So these are the gas laws. Let's move towards that point. First law is Boyle's law, which is obviously derived by a scientist whose name is Boyle. So he derived the relation between volume and pressure when the third term, which is temperature, is constant. So the law is V is inversely proportional to P. That means volume of a gas is inversely proportional to pressure which is on that gas at constant temperature. Remember students, we are going to study the relation between P, V and T. So when there is a relation between two terms, the third term which is not there inside the relationship, that must be constant. So here we are going to see the relation between P and V. So the third term remains, which is T. So it will remain constant. So by using Boyle's law, we have derived one equation which is V is inversely proportional to P when T is constant. Let's move towards the second, Charles' law, which is derived by scientist Charles. He derived the relation between volume and temperature. So the term which remains is pressure. So as he derived, V is directly proportional to T at constant pressure. Now, what is the meaning of directly and inversely proportional? When I am saying V is directly proportional to T, that means as V increases, T also goes on increases. This is the meaning of directly proportional. And what is the meaning of inversely proportional? When one term is increases, another term goes on decreases. That is the meaning of inversely proportional. Okay, so by using Boyle's law, we have derived for inversely proportional, and for Charles' law, we have derived for directly proportional. So V is directly proportional to T at constant P. Right. Now, third is Gay-Lussac's law. Gay-Lussac's law is relation between pressure and temperature, where the third term is V that remains constant. So P is directly proportional to T at constant V. So as pressure increases, temperature also goes on increasing at constant volume. So these are the three laws. By combining these three laws, what we can get from first law, we can say PV proportional to what? Constant term. When we are going to remove the proportionality sign, we have to multiply it by some constant term. So from using first equation, we can say PV is equal to constant. By using second equation, we can say V by T is equal to constant. And by using third equation, we can say P by T is equal to constant. So by combining all the laws, we are getting the equation as PV is proportional to T. Or you can say PV is equal to nRT, where R is the constant term. To remove the proportionality sign, we have multiplied the equation by a constant term which is R, and that R is called as universal gas constant, whose value is 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin. You are going to use this value many times even in chemistry also. So this is the equation and this is the universal gas constant. Okay. So as we have said, we have done many things in 11th only. So I'm going to ask you something. what is Avogadro's number and what is ideal gas? Let's think and comment below that video. You're going to tell me what is Avogadro's number, how it denoted, and what is ideal gas. You will get the answers in another slides, but you have to think on it. Okay? So the next point which we are going to learn is behavior of gas. So students, there are three peaks from which you can observe all the three peaks, and by observing three peaks, what you can conclude first is very famous pic which is showing an apple tree. Obviously that apple is going to fall down, and by using this Newton had derived three laws of motion, right? So that first picture is universally accepted, Newton's law of motion pic. So the first is motion of any object which is falling down, which is due to gravity. Yes, obviously. Look at the second pic. There is a closed cube in which number of dots are, you can see that dots are nothing but molecules, and this is nothing but gas molecules. They are moving. How they are moving? They are randomly moving. They do not have any path. They collide with each other. They collide with the walls of the container. They are moving randomly here and there. This is the motion of gas. And third pic, which is showing a ball is bouncing. So as you throw any object, it will come down towards earth. It will come down due to laws of motion. So by comparing the two of the peak, that means peak of the apple tree and peak of the ball, with respect to molecules motion, what you can observe, we can say Newton's law of motion can be applicable to this object, that means to apple tree and to the object which is falling down. But is it possible to apply Newton's laws of motion for the very tiny particles which are there inside gas molecules? Is it possible? You have to think on it. Yes. So in this case, we are going to study how they behave, how the molecule behave. Do they follow the Newton's law of gravitation, or do they follow the motion's laws of Newton, that we are going to see? Or there is another some terms, or is there any another assumptions or theory which followed by this gas law that we are going to study? Okay, so this is all about the behavior of gas, or you can compare both of them. So that's why the slide is saying the three peaks, which by using or by comparing three of them, you can come to know how the molecules of the gas move exactly. Okay. Now we are going to see ideal gases and real gases. We are going to see the comparison between both of them. As you have already derived the equation for ideal gas, which is PV is equal to nRT. But do the equation really followed by the real gas also? So let's see. What is the difference between ideal gas and real gas? First point is ideal gases obeys all the gas laws under all of temperature and pressures condition. That means when ideal gas obeys all gas laws, but it follows all the conditions of temperature and pressure, right? Under all the conditions, it is ideal gas and it obeys that law. But real gases obeys gas law only at low pressures and high temperature. That means conditions are fixed for temperature and pressure. But for ideal gas, condition is not fixed. It obeys that law at all the conditions. And for real gases, it obeys the gas law at only low pressure and high temperature. So that is the main and major difference between ideal gas and real gas. So let's move towards the next point. The next point is volume which is occupied by the molecules is negligible as compared to the total volume occupied by the gas. As we have seen the peak in earlier slide, molecules which there are enclosed in some container, the volume which is occupied by that molecules, individual molecule is negligible as compared to the total volume in case of ideal gas. But in case of real gas, what happens? The volume occupied by the molecules is not negligible as compared to the total volume of gas. That means there are many particles are there when we are considering a real gas. But in ideal gas, very less particles are there. So we can ignore or neglect them. That means we are neglecting the volume of that particles. Okay, so this is the second difference. And the third difference is the force of attraction amongst the molecule are negligible in case of ideal gases. The force of attraction among the molecule are negligible. And in case of real gases, the force of attraction are not negligible at all temperature and pressure. There is a force of attraction between them which has to be considered. We are considering that force, but in case of ideal gas we are ignoring that forces between the molecules. Okay, so this is the main differences between ideal and real gas. First was ideal gas obeys all the gas laws at all the conditions of pressure and temperature, but in real gas it obeys gas laws only at low pressures and high temperatures. Second term or second comparison is of volume, and third comparison is of force of attraction. In case of ideal gas we are ignoring the force of attraction, and in case of real gases we are considering that force of attraction. So this is the difference between both of them. I hope you all get all the slides which you have seen till now. So here in this slide we are going to see the motion of the particles of gas molecules obviously, and what path they follow and on which that path depends, on which terms they depends. So let's move towards our topic, which is mean free path. So here is the diagram showing particles which are roaming inside a container. It is very random and they are moving here and there with various of velocities. They are colliding with each other, they are colliding with the walls of the container. And what happens to their speed when they collide with each other or when they collide with walls of the container? What you can think, what happens to their speed? Think on it. Okay, let's move towards the main term. Okay, the molecules of gas are uniformly dispersed throughout the volume of gas, as we have said. These molecules are executing random motion, right? When the molecules approaches each other, they collide with both of them and they collide with the walls of the container, and as the molecule behaves as a small spherical particle, when they collide with each other, the energy which is before the collision, energy which is after the collision will be same. So this leads to the elastic collisions between the molecules, because the molecules are very small and spherical, and they are elastic in nature. All the particles are elastic in nature. So therefore both the speed and direction of motion of the molecules change abruptly, because as they collide the speed may get increase or may get decrease, but obviously it get change. Okay, in between two successive collisions, the molecules move along a straight path. Okay, they move randomly, but between two collisions the molecules move in a straight path and with constant velocity. So the average distance traveled by the molecule with constant velocity between two successive collisions is called as mean free path, and it is denoted by lambda. Again I am repeating, the average distance traveled by a molecule with constant velocity between two successive collisions is mean free path, and it is denoted by lambda. So the mean free path is inversely proportional to the density of gas. Now, how is it so? As we know, what is density? It should be mass divided by volume, right? But in this case, we are going to see, instead of mass, we are going to say N, which is moles. Yes. So rho will be N upon V. So as the density goes on increases, that means number of moles also goes on increases. If the number of moles, that means number of particles are going to increase, what happens to their motion? They will not move because there will be no space to move, because number of particles are larger. There are many particles to move. So there will be no space to move. So mean free path will be decreasing. So that's why as the density increases, mean free path goes on decreasing. Have you understood? I am repeating again. Mean free path is inversely proportional to density of the gas. That means as the density goes on increases, that means when the number of particles goes on increases, they will not move. There will be no space to move. So the mean free path will goes on decreases. And also mean free path is inversely proportional to size of the molecule. As the size is very small, so they will not collide. So mean free path will be goes on either increases or decreases. As size goes on increases, mean free path goes on decreases, right? So by using this assumption, we got the equation as lambda is equal to 1 divided by root of 2 pi d square into bracket n upon v. So this is the equation that already have derived. We are not going to derive this equation. So this you are going to learn by heart. By using this equation, we are going to solve many of the numericals. So let's see again the formula, which is lambda is equal to 1 divided by root 2 pi d square into bracket n upon v square, where d is size of that object, or you can say diameter. N is number of moles, V is volume, and lambda is obviously mean free path. Okay, so I hope you have got this point, which is mean free path. So I hope you have already seen all the slides, and this may be helpful to you all, and you got all the concepts related to kinetic theory of gases, which we have seen in this part. So thank you so much for watching, and do comment if you have any query related to all the slides. And yes, after watching this video, comment seen, because I want to mark presently for all of you. Okay, thank you so much.